It's episode 5. I can't believe we're on episode 5 already. And this week I thought it'd be good to talk about anxiety. I think anxiety is pretty prevalent around everybody at the moment. There's even that song "Anxiety" that's come out recently with the redo of the Gotye song, which is really cool. You like that one, don't you?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a good one.
So I think it's good because we've obviously got ADHD and neurodiversity in the house, and that comes along with its own levels of anxiety. And even myself as a neurotypical person, I think it's good to talk about that because I experience just as much as anxiety as maybe other people do. And I've got my own issues with that to try and work through. So that's a good topic of conversation for today, right? To get into.
It's interesting that you mentioned that because I was just thinking, I just know what my anxiety has always been like, and having that heightened state, you get into that heightened state and you get really worried and stressed.
You get into your fight or flight, don't you?
Yeah, but isn't that anxiety?
I wouldn't say that's always a strict anxiety, no. So when I think about my anxiety, which is all I can really talk to, is that I'll give you an example. When I manage my local soccer team that I play for, and you've seen me of an evening that if I think about putting the team together on a Friday night, I'll put it together, I'll overthink things, I'll stress about, am I being fair to everybody? I'll change it round 10 times, and on Sunday I won't be happy. So that's my anxiety coming out, to think that if I put something out there with something as simple as putting a team together, what are people going to think? Who am I going to be offending to this? And it's really, really hard to handle that sometimes. So I think anxiety more like that for me, not so fly into a rage or I need to get away, or this is so stressful and I've got to get out of the situation. It's not like that for me.
So it's an overthinking.
It's an overthinking, and then being very aware of what the consequences could be, and I don't want to cause any problems for anybody. So it's that level of anxiety. So
that's completely different to mine, which can just end up being like it's more of a reactive state I get into, overstimulated. Even just today with me needing to give direction to one of my daughters, but knowing that I had more than one thing that I needed her to do. So there were multiple things that I had to get her to do. And I had to remember to get her to do that, but I had to wait for her to come inside before she did that. Yeah. And then you come in and you remove. I was just about to
Move your bill, take your shoes off, do this.
Exactly. I'm just about to try my best to get this done. You come in and throw a spanner in the works and get her to do something completely opposite, and that sends me into this state of anxiety that it I don't know how to explain it. It feels like it's just sitting up here, like in my throat. It's just, I'm just like about to panic, go into a panic.
You do get that quite a lot where I think even today, we went out for a drive today, right? We went out to go look for this thing and get some lunch. And even that was getting to that level, wasn't it? About just not knowing where to go.
But it's impatience.
I told you where to go and you don't understand, and that builds up and builds up and builds up to that.
And I was hungry. Hangry. I said to you, I'm angry.
Chucking hungry into the
said I hadn't eaten.
That completely changes everything, doesn't it?
Yeah, don't mess with. And I did. I said, don't.
You being hungry is responsible for a lot of frustration, anxiety, stress.
And
if you go out with a full stomach, then it's going to be a much easier day to manage.
Yeah, well, I made it clear. I said, I have not eaten. So if I am not in the best mood,
it's also your choice, though. If you'd eaten in the morning, then we would have had a nicer day today.
Yeah, well, yeah. But anyway, we're not talking about my hangriness. I guess
Episode 6, nutrition.
Nutrition.
And the importance of a good breakfast.
Yeah. I guess, what is anxiety? What does that look like for different people? What are the levels? So I guess if you got diagnosed with anxiety, you would get different levels. You'd have mild anxiety, moderate to severe anxiety. Is maybe just that, what constitutes as mild anxiety? What does that look like? Is it overthinking? Where does it come where does it start getting to severe? Is that when your physical, your body starts reacting to that anxiety?
I'd probably say that's fair. Whether it's severe or not, what level, but I think when your body starts to react and you get some physical sensations, or you can't leave the house because of this crippling anxiety, not going into the phobias, but that kind of level, that's probably where it's not a healthy amount of anxiety to have to deal with, is it?
And that would be the heart rate. So when if you explained how you felt with your anxiety, do you get the heart palpitations? Do you get the sweaty palms?
I get that when I'm I get, if I'm going to do like a release at work or something, if I'm putting something out there, I get that same anxiety build up, with this is me putting myself out to be judged by a lot of people. And I do get a little bit like that. I get nervous. But I think that might just be
that's great. Yeah, nervous,
but not full on anxiety, I guess. But I do get very nervous to put things out because that's a full judgment of yourself. And I guess that could lead to anxiety.
Yeah, well, that's right. It starts with the nerves. So then I wonder if it has to do with it could be your personality and how you can handle stressful situations, and maybe even how you've been taught to handle yourself and deal in such stressful situations. And that would possibly be strategies, or maybe even just your internal monologue of being able to talk yourself out of it turning into a complete panic attack, I guess.
Panic attack, that's a whole nother thing,
that is anxiety at its next level, isn't it?
Yeah. I remember I think the greatest cure for my anxiety and stress and frustration was the introduction of having your bank card on your phone. Because there's nothing worse when you're trying to leave the house, you can't find your bank card anywhere. This is before you could do the tap on your phone. And I remember just almost losing my mind. And this was before you knew me. So you probably would never see me like this, when I'm looking for something and I can't get out and I feel trapped in the house. And there's nothing worse. And you've probably experienced that with me as well, that I don't like to feel trapped somewhere. I get very frustrated.
That's a whole nother episode.
It is a whole nother episode. Maybe I'm scooting too far ahead. But just that stress and frustration that builds up about something that you can't control. That's
anxiety again. It's something you can't control, possibly, and obviously there's a level of trauma in your life that leads you to experience anxiety or nervousness in a way, and it's learning how to. It's actually being aware that you even have that, I'm guessing, and that you feel that way.
That's I remember when I first met you back in 2020, I was seeing a mental health person just for some other issues, which we'll cover in later episodes, which could be good. And I got diagnosed with, I can't remember if it was moderate or mild anxiety, probably mild. Anxiety, which was the first time I've actually been diagnosed with that. And what we went through is a series of mindfulness techniques as well. And like going on to what you're saying about being aware, or noticing was the words that they use, noticing that you're feeling this way. And then all of the tips and tricks and meditation and breathing and all these sort of things. But there's that being aware that you're in that, you're experiencing that at the time. That's half the battle. And then once you are aware of it, or you've noticed it, then you can start to do something about it within real time as well, which is really good.
And can you give us some examples?
So one of the main ones I took away from seeing the guy, and this was 5 years ago, so it may not be remembering right, but remember he said that there was two things. So you have a choice whether what you do with your thoughts that come into your mind. So what I did was I did a meditation every morning and every evening. I think I was doing it when I met you. I was doing my meditating just for 10 minutes in the evenings when I'd stay around your place. And,
I didn't even notice that.
No, you wouldn't. But I used to do it, just sit at the end of the bed and just do that for 10 minutes. Close my eyes. And you have these thoughts, and it was almost the case where a thought comes into your head and you can visualize it. Imagine like a playing card. This card gets turned over and it's something that is, that's you're not expecting or you don't want to be thinking about. And it's the case of, just scrunching that card up and physically throwing it away within your mind. So you can say, that's come into my mind. And that's normal for that to come into my mind. It's okay to have these thoughts, but I don't want to have to deal with that. And it was a case of, taking that card, scrunching it up and then throwing it away. And that being consciously doing that. So a scenario comes in, you do that, throw it away. And, 2 minutes later, something else might come in again. And there might be some good thoughts in there that you do want to hold on to, but you don't have to do that. And the second one was breathing. So just closing your eyes and meditating, but feeling that breath from your nose on your top lip and just being aware of that is incredibly soothing. So you can, if you are in that kind of mindset, you can close your eyes and just feel yourself breathing for those few minutes. And just that allows you to even calm yourself as well, because you're not focusing on all the crap that's going on. You're just focusing on the air just touching the top lip. It makes it easy being a man because, with a little bit of moustache, it does help. But just focusing on that, nothing else. And if those thoughts do come in, you can just consciously take the view and throw it away. But that was really, really good because I used to suffer from panic attacks. I was having panic attacks when I met you. I think I had... We
were both in a pretty messed up place when we met each other.
Yeah, we were. We really were.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. Have things gotten better? Just different.
Well, we're not having panic attacks. I'm a lot more in control of my emotions, and I think I was definitely I don't want to throw PTSD out there just like that, but I was very close to. It was survival mode. That's the only way I can explain it for myself, really. And it's, it's just that level of, and I don't know if there was even, I don't think there was even too much overthinking. I'm not sure what it looks like for me. It's just.
You overthink everything.
But it was, I don't know, there was a level of it was just getting up every morning and just going to work was massive.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whereas me, I had certain external factors that were triggering my panic attacks. And I don't know if anyone else has been through panic attacks, but it's a horrible experience where I know with me, I think I probably had various types of panic attacks, but the most recent ones, and this was a long time ago, it's nothing been that recent now, but it was just that uncontrollable fear, couldn't stop crying. Couldn't focus on anything. I remember I was driving to a soccer game once and I had a panic attack. I was going down the highway where we live, and I had a full-on panic attack in the car. And I called a few people and no one answered. And then I called one of my very close friends and he answered. And I just had to pull the car over the side of the highway. It wasn't even a parking space. I just had to stop, back of the car sticking out onto the main road. I had to stop and then just talk to him and just breathe for a little bit. And I thought, I'm okay. And he stayed on the phone with me. Then I carried on driving again. And then I had another one like 2 minutes later, still within the city.
Yeah, it's that
I had
breathing.
To do the exact same thing again.
Yeah.
Just couldn't breathe.
And it's the breathing just takes over.
Yeah. It was absolutely awful. I couldn't imagine anything worse.
Yeah.
Than having another panic attack.
Yeah.
Horrible things.
Yeah.
And then I still went and played the game of football.
That's wild.
Drove all the way out 20 minutes and played this game of football and went out for lunch with another friend after. So I was fine after. But
was that the first time? Is that a new experience for you? Have you had them in the past?
I've had them, I wouldn't say frequently through the years. It's probably been maybe once every few years I've had a panic attack.
Can you remember having them as a child at all?
No. But I think it's when major events happen. I can tie it back to that. It's not just random things where things get on top of me.
Yeah.
It's something major has happened and I'm dealing with the fallout from that.
Yeah.
And then I get into the panic attacks.
I wonder how many people actually experience those, because it's not something that it's only recently that we really talk about experiencing anxiety. And now I've got that song in my head. coming into my head. But it's definitely a lot more normalized to be able to talk about these experiences.
I think that's
and panic attacks, even just having that in our vocabulary.
Yeah.
I remember having a panic attack before I even knew what a panic attack was.
Yeah. Just
breathing in a paper
happening?
Bag, having to breathe in a paper bag. And I had no idea that even was a panic attack. I thought I just literally was just overreacting. I was actually waitressing and I got the order wrong. And I realized, and I went back into the kitchen area and I started having a panic attack. I didn't know it was a panic attack. I thought it was just really stress or whatever. And one of the other waitresses or whoever gave me a bag and made me sit up against the wall in the kitchen area and blowing through this paper bag.
Did they take the receipt out of the bag?
But that's a full-blown panic attack and had there were no words to be able to verbalize what that actually was.
I think that's the thing now, and I don't know how long it's been in place for, but it's definitely has become more normalized and more accepted.
Yeah.
And definitely more talked about that it's okay. It's not a thing that you keep that behind closed doors. That's a weakness thing.
Yeah.
Nothing like that. Or you hear so much about anxiety and depression and mental health. Even in the last 20, 25 years, it's completely changed, I think.
Huge, even in the last 10 years.
Yeah, it's become so normalized and accepted in society to be able to feel that way, and there's support around. Like I remember even in the last couple of jobs I've gone for over the last 15 years, a company having an employee assistance program, that's massive. All the companies I worked for when I was straight out of school never even knew that existed, if it ever did. Now it's like, on every job interview on Seek, there's a job on Seek, there's employee assistance available and all these things, because it's recognized that it is such a massive thing, and it's not just you're at work and you've got to deal with work. There's so many factors to you getting into work. So
you're when you experience anxiety, it's normally leads up from a major situation or experience that you're going through in your life.
With panic attacks, it would, not with anxiety.
Okay, so with anxiety, it's just the overthinking.
I think it's So I've going back to my soccer management example, my football management example. I hate saying soccer. Is that I will deal with it by, I'm not going to put the team together on a Friday because we don't play till Sundays, generally speaking. So you know what? I'll do it Sunday morning. So I don't give myself the opportunity to think this could happen, or I start catastrophizing and think, I'm upsetting this person by doing this, and they're not going to play anymore and they're not going to like me. Things like that. So it's
there's a control thing there. It's not relinquishing that level of control, possibly.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm trying to work out, because that mine's different. I can't just, how do I, with my daughter.
I don't know what you're going to do about you.
What do I fix? Because that just comes at the most not extreme situations. It can just flare up. But why?
It just comes out of nothing. It comes out of a simple...
It's overstimulation.
A simple conversation or a simple thing that's mentioned.
But there's a lot of things, like if I'm planning something where I was planning on doing certain things and then something else gets thrown in the mix, that then just sends me into this panic.
You struggle with that.
Whoa, what is that? Like, how do you... I can't just bring my mindfulness in.
Start breathing, feel that
I
motion
don't have the time. It's already like up into my head, like I'm about to explode within like a second, and I have no idea how that I was even at any state before that.
No, and that's the thing. So if you get to that state and I start saying, remember your breathing, that just makes it 10 times worse.
If you ever said that to me, remember your breathing.
No, that wouldn't be welcome, would it? But no, I don't know. I don't know what to do with you.
That's actually, I've heard, obviously it's all social media or wherever it is, scrolling about parents that are that have neurodiverse kids. There are a lot more times the experience of having just neurotypical kids or in a neurotypical family and that's difficult in itself. Times that by 3 is the experience that a family or a parent that has to raise children that are on the spectrum or whichever. It's just, even when we went out last night, I felt like I was constantly sitting here. I'm waiting. I'm constantly trying to manage a situation so that it doesn't turn into a full-blown.
I think you did a good job last night.
But that's extremely draining.
Yeah.
Because you're constantly, working on trying to stop arguments.
Well, you're being a mediator as well.
And constant. Yeah. Even though all you want to do is just go. It's easier to just stay at home.
Well, that's a very defeatist attitude.
It ended up a wonderful night, but there isn't a level of you can just sit back and relax. It's and there's this anxiety as well of waiting for it to all just kick off.
So that's the anxiety part, isn't it? Not of knowing what can happen. And catastrophizing as well. This is going to be the worst case scenario. Yeah. And sometimes it does actually come out that way.
It does a lot though. That's the problem.
Yeah. So we need to come up with a new level of worst case scenario.
Yeah, I'm glad that
that one came through too quick.
I'm glad you recognise that.
Oh, yeah, I recognise it.
Yeah.
But I guess one of the main things, is coming up with that plan to deal with it. And I've got things that work for me, but I think every plan is going to be unique to the individual who goes through it, right? Because what works for me with the breathing and the controlling thoughts and things ain't going to do nothing for you.
Yeah, and I mean, so that's a day-to-day experience for myself. But yes, when we met and I was going through it fresh out of a divorce, that was another level that I noticed. And even just I had this just level of shallow breathing the whole time. I couldn't breathe properly. Yeah. And what is that? And I didn't even realize that I was actually doing that until I noticed one of my children mimicking that breathing.
Yeah.
And that was when I thought, well, what is she? Why is she doing that? And then realized that it was from me and not being able to breathe. And I mean, that's probably that's that next level that goes past anxiety, I think.
Yeah.
You think?
Yeah. No. I think I can talk about anxiety. You can talk about what the next massive thing is.
Yeah, you can just laugh about it, but it's trauma, isn't it? It's an extreme, intense trauma, and then that's where that level of PTSD would probably come into as well. And I don't know, but that's a whole nother kettle.
It is a whole nother kettle of fish.
Yeah.
That one, but we'll leave that one for another topic.
But that's been really great to talk to you about that, and even though it's you can never not yet made sense of what it all means, but I think it's very different to a lot of people. What I've taken from this is there's those stages.
Yeah.
Nervousness is that.
They all lead into each other, don't they? Whether it's how quickly you get there, whether it's mild, whether it's just straight into the very top level of something. We're all on our own journey with it, but I think it exists for everybody.
Definitely.
Just some degree.
Yeah.
I'd like to meet someone who just goes through life, no anxiety, no pressure.
What are you talking about?
Anything. Yeah.
And even just people listening to this, I wonder like how many would actually be like resonate with what we're saying and go, oh, I really understand that, or I wish they mentioned this part. There's this whole nother level that we hadn't even discussed.
How great would it be to hear from these people too?
That would be. Yeah, it would be.
Definitely.
Yeah. Comments below.
Comments below and like and subscribe to the channel as well, because it's the only way you're going to get involved.
Yeah, would be really interesting.
So, yeah.
But I'm looking forward to growing further with you and talking about some interesting things. This podcast is...
I think there's enough content, isn't there?
Oh, yeah.
Over the next few years to get through.
Let's take it 1 week at a time.
1 week at a time. Like and subscribe.
To our channel.
That was